Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's etaprime back here again. Lenovo recently released the Legion Go S, and it's the first third-party handheld device powered by SteamOS. So it's officially licensed SteamOS on this device here. And Lenovo actually released two different variants, so we've got two different APUs to choose from. There's the Ryzen Z1 Extreme, which is going to be the most powerful of the two. I did a video on it recently. If you're interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link in the description. And of course, we've got the Z2 Go APU to choose from, which is going to be the lower cost option. Right now, over on Best Buy's website, this is $599. And initially, this was supposed to be $499, but with tariffs, they raised the price and then it actually got raised again. So we had two price hikes before this thing was even launched, bringing the price up to $599. So it's a $600 handheld. And personally, I do like the overall design. It's a really comfortable handheld. Round back here, we do have these locking triggers, so we can go for that hair trigger or full linear. The triggers are also Hall-based along with the analog sticks up front. We've got an 8-inch 120Hz VRR display, but how does this thing stack up against the Steam Deck OLED, the king of SteamOS handhelds? Can it beat the Steam Deck at its own game? Can we get better battery life out of the Legion Go S? Because after all, it does have a little bit of a larger battery, coming in at 55.5 watt hours as opposed to the 50 watt hour battery in the Steam Deck OLED. And that's exactly what we're going to be taking a look at in this video. I really wanted to see how much more performance we could get out of the Legion Go S, and if it would be worth picking one of these up over the Steam Deck OLED. So first things first, getting the specs out of the way, just kind of a comparison here. Over on the Steam Deck OLED, we've got a custom AMD APU. It's actually based on Zen 2, and with this we get 4 cores, 8 threads. It clocks up to 3.5 gigahertz, an 8 compute unit RDNA 2 iGPU up to 1600 megahertz, 16 gigs of LPDDR5 running at 6400 megahertz, and a 7.4-inch 90 Hz OLED display. When it comes to the lower end version of the Legion Go, we've got the AMD Ryzen Z2 Go APU. It's based on Zen 3 Plus, and remember, you can pick up a higher end version, but it's going to be more expensive. It has the Z1 Extreme. But with the Z2 Go version, we have 4 cores, 8 threads, just like the Steam Deck. It does clock up a bit higher to 4.3 instead of 3.5, and the iGPU here is still based on RDNA 2, but it's a 12 compute unit iGPU, and it clocks up to 2200 megahertz. This one also has 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM running at 6400 megatransfers per second. We've got an 8-inch 120Hz IPS display, and it does support variable refresh rate. When it comes to pricing, the 512 gigabyte version of the Steam Deck OLED is $549. 512 gigs is all you get with the Z2 Go version of the Legion Go S, and that's $599. So the Steam Deck is coming in cheaper, and just for a bit more, I mean, you could go with a 1 terabyte Steam Deck OLED, or you can always upgrade these down the road, either with a large micro SD card, or get in there and change the M.2 out. It's really up to you. So the Steam Deck OLED is coming in $50 cheaper, but on paper, I mean, for internal specs, it does look like the Legion Go S with that Z2 Go could outperform the Steam Deck in the correct circumstances. But now it's time to move over to some side-by-side benchmark comparisons. And with all of these tests, I'm at a 15 watt TDP on the Legion Go S, but keep in mind, by the end, I've also run it at a 20 watt TDP. Now, I would say it kind of keeps it fair, but at a 20 watt TDP, we're going to get less battery life than the Steam Deck gives us on the Legion Go S, so it's really a trade-off. But when it comes down to it, the Steam Deck OLED can only do up to 15 watts. So, what you're seeing here is what we're going to get out of the Steam Deck OLED. We can get more out of the Legion Go S by upping that wattage, but by the end, at a 15 watt TDP, Steam Deck OLED managed an average of 46 FPS, and the Legion Go S came in with an average of 44. But again, we can take the TDP up, and at a 20 watt TDP, we now average 54 FPS over on the Legion Go S. But again, you're going to get less battery life out of it running it at that higher TDP. Forza Horizon 5, and in order to get the Legion Go S to a 15 watt TDP, I'm using the custom preset. We can go anywhere from 5 watts up to 33 watts on battery, and on wall power, you can go from 5 watts up to 44. But even with the custom set at 15, it kind of seems like it might be overboosting just a bit, 16, 17 watts. And by the end of this, the Steam Deck OLED came ahead again at 65 FPS on average, Legion Go S 63, but taking the wattage up on the Legion Go S to 20 brings us up to an average of 72. taking a look at the built-in benchmark for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and just watching these benchmarks run, I could tell that the Steam Deck was outperforming it. Frame pacing over there was way better, and at the end, the Steam Deck OLED had an average of 58, Legion Go S 56, and at 20 watts, we had an average of 61 on the Legion Go S. Black Myth Wukong was another one that I wanted to test here. And again, we're at that custom 15 watt on the Legion Go S. But if you take a look right up here in our performance overlay, you'll see the GPU jump up to 12 watts sometimes while that CPU is sitting at 4 to 5. And it could just be bad timing with the performance overlay, not catching it in time. But it does feel like we might have a little bit of an overboost here, even with that custom set TDP. And with this, we're at 720p low with FSR set to 60%, no frame generation, Steam Deck OLED, 44 FPS on average, Legion Go S, 51. And going to a 20 watt TDP, didn't take it up that much, but it did bring us up to 56 on average. Here's Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, and the Steam Deck really did come ahead here. I could even tell just by running this benchmark. At the end, Steam Deck OLED average of 41, Legion Go S average of 37, and even with the Legion Go S set at a 20 watt TDP, we only averaged 39, so it's still coming behind the Steam Deck OLED, and we're 5 watts over what the OLED runs at. And finally, Cyberpunk 2077. I'm using the Steam Deck preset, and with this it does take FSR to balance. And with the Steam Deck preset, it usually does lock us down at 30 FPS on the deck. That's how I usually play it anyway, but I've unlocked that frame rate just so we could see how high we could take it. Steam Deck OLED managed 47 FPS, and this is actually a hike over what it was doing a couple months ago. We were averaging around 44 on the OLED, and on the Legion Go S, we had an average of 51. At a 20 watt TDP, that average jumped up to 56. Okay, so it looks like at a 15 watt TDP, Steam Deck is still coming ahead for the most part when we compare it to the Legion Go S's performance at the time of making this video. But now I wanted to talk about battery life here because that's a really important part of a handheld gaming PC. Side-by-side comparison here, Steam Deck on the left, Legion Go S on the right. Cyberpunk 2077, same exact settings. We're at a 15 watt TDP on both of these, 50% screen brightness. And for the most part, battery draw is looking pretty even here at that 15 watt TDP with AAA Gaming. But when I move over to something a little easier to run, we don't need as much wattage. I've got both of these set at a 6 watt TDP. You can see that the Steam Deck is drawing considerably less than the Legion Go S, and I've got RGB off on that Legion Go S. I've also got Bluetooth off on both of these devices, but Wi-Fi is enabled. This gives us a really good idea of how power efficient the Steam Deck is and has become through software and hardware with the new OLED models. And of course, looks like the Steam Deck is beating out that Legion Go S with those lower wattage indie games. So realistically, at 6 watts playing through some of these games, you're going to get 5 to 7 hours of runtime out of the Steam Deck OLED at that low wattage. On the Legion Go S, 4 to 6 hours depending on what you're playing. 15 watt AAA gaming, around 2 hours and 15 minutes on both of these devices. I mean, at that 15 watt preset playing AAA games, I do see the battery draw on the Legion Go jumping up more than it does over on the Steam Deck. But at a 20 watt TDP, which we can't reach on the Steam Deck, with the Legion Go S, we're looking at an hour and 20 minutes of runtime out of this thing. And one thing I'd like to mention here, even though the Legion Go S has kind of been in development for a while now, it's still early to the market. So we will see better battery life down the road as long as Lenovo and Valve still support this device. We'll also see a jump in lower TDP gaming performance also, but this device is never going to run everything at 60 FPS, 1200p. You're going to be right there at 800p trying to get up to that 45 FPS mark with most of the new AAA games out there. So yeah, the Legion Go S can outperform the Steam Deck, but we need to take that TDP up. Steam Deck OLED is still king of low TDP gaming. I mean, it's definitely more efficient at the time of making this video. But in the end, I mean, it's really up to you. Personally, I don't see this version with the Z2 Go a big upgrade over the Steam Deck OLED. If you're looking to get better performance, I would definitely go with the Z1 Extreme version of the Legion Go S. It is more expensive than the Steam Deck, but you will get better performance out of it. And I'd say, yeah, I mean, that's a nice upgrade if you're looking for a performance upgrade over the Steam Deck OLED. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. I really appreciate you watching. If you're interested in learning a little more about the Legion Go S, I'll leave some links in the description. If there's anything else you want to see running on either version, the Z2 Go or the Z1 Extreme, let me know in the comments below. But that's it for this one. Like always, thanks for watching.